Welcome to Life Stories, where we explore the extraordinary power of kindness and courage. In today's tale, we meet Ryan, a compassionate baker from a quiet town in Hartford. When he discovers 4 abandoned children outside his bakery, his decision to help sets off a chain of events that changes their lives and his forever. This is a story about bravery, love, and the ripple effect of selfless acts in the face of danger. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Life Stories to begin today's heartwarming journey. Let's dive into this inspiring tale together. The snow fell softly on Hartford that morning, blanketing the streets in a serene white hush. Ryan's bakery, Sweet Haven, was one of the few places that offered warmth in the sleepy downtown neighborhood. Its bright windows glowed against the cold, and the scent of fresh bread and pastries carried faintly through the still air. Ryan had owned the bakery for 10 years, ever since inheriting it from his mother. It wasn't just a business to him, it was her legacy. A place infused with love, memories, and the comforting rhythms of life. Ryan, now 35, started his mornings early. He enjoyed the quiet moments before the world stirred, when the hum of the ovens and the soft crackle of dough rising were his only companions. But this particular morning was different. As he stepped outside to shovel snow from the bakery's front steps, he noticed something unusual: a large, worn cardboard box sitting near the door. Frowning, he approached the box cautiously. "What's this?" he murmured to himself. The box looked battered, its edges damp from the snow. A small part of it was torn, revealing a glimpse of movement inside. His heart skipped a beat. Kneeling down, he lifted the lid. Inside were 4 children, huddled together for warmth. The youngest, a baby barely over a year old, was wrapped in a thin, tattered blanket. The other 3, ranging from 2 to 5 years old, clung to one another, their faces pale with cold and fear. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. "Dios mío," he whispered, his voice trembling. He hadn't spoken Spanish since his mother passed, but the words came instinctively in his shock. The children's wide, frightened eyes stared back at him, as if unsure whether he was a threat or a savior. "Hey, it's okay," Ryan said softly, crouching lower to meet their gaze. He extended a hand toward the oldest girl, who appeared to be about 5. Her hair was tangled, her cheeks hollow, and her coat worn thin. She recoiled, her small body trembling. "Don't be afraid," he continued gently. "I won't hurt you." The girl didn't respond, but her grip on her siblings tightened. Ryan noticed a small patch sewn onto her coat, a triangle with an unfamiliar letter inside. He reached toward it out of curiosity, but the girl's reaction was immediate and panicked. Don't touch it," she screamed, her voice breaking with fear. Ryan froze, pulling his hand back. Okay, he said quickly, trying to calm her. "I won't touch it. I promise." Her reaction sent a chill through him. What could this symbol mean? Without hesitating further, Ryan lifted the children one by one, cradling the youngest carefully in his arms, and brought them inside the bakery. The warmth hit their small bodies, and for the first time, a faint pink color began to return to their cheeks. He fetched blankets from the back room and wrapped them snugly, then hurried to prepare warm cups of milk and soft pastries. "Here, eat something," he said, setting the food in front of them. The oldest girl hesitated, her eyes darting toward the window as if expecting someone to burst through at any moment. But eventually, hunger won, and she took a sip of the milk. Her siblings followed suit, nibbling cautiously on the pastries. Ryan sat across from them, his heart heavy. Who could abandon these children in the freezing cold? What had they been through to leave them so terrified? He studied the strange symbol on their clothing again, unease growing in his chest. Something about it felt sinister. "What's your name?" he asked the oldest girl gently. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward the window again, her small body tense with fear. They'll come, she whispered so softly he almost didn't hear her. Who? Ryan asked, leaning forward. Who's coming? The girl shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. They said we can't talk. Or else. Her voice broke, and she buried her face in her hands, her small frame racked with silent sobs. Ryan's chest ached as he watched her. He wanted to reassure her, to promise that nothing could hurt her here. But he didn't know what danger they were running from. Steeling himself, Ryan stood and went to the door. The biting wind stung his face as he stepped outside and scanned the quiet street. Hartford was peaceful in the mornings, the snow muffling the usual sounds of the town waking up. But today, the stillness felt oppressive. There was no sign of anyone watching, no evidence of who might have left the children there. Ryan returned inside and locked the door behind him. He needed help. Picking up his phone, he dialed Olivia, his closest friend and a police officer he trusted completely. Olivia, he said when she answered. I need you to come here. It's urgent. What's wrong? Ryan, you sound tense. I found 4 kids outside the bakery this morning. Abandoned. They're terrified. And there's something strange about their clothes, symbols I don't recognize. Can you come now? I'm on my way, she replied, her tone immediately serious. Ryan hung up and exhaled deeply, his gaze falling on the children again. The baby had fallen asleep, his tiny hands clutching the edge of the blanket. The other 3 sat close together, their fear still evident but slightly lessened by the warmth of the bakery. It's going to be okay, Ryan said softly, though the words felt hollow even to him. As he sat down beside them, his mind churned with questions. Who were these children? What did the symbol mean? And, most importantly, what kind of danger had they narrowly escaped? The bell above the bakery door jingled sharply as Olivia stepped in, her dark winter coat still dusted with snow. She had a look of quiet determination, her sharp eyes scanning the room before they landed on Ryan. In her early 30s, Olivia had an air of calm authority that reassured people, even in the most dire situations. Where are they? She asked, brushing off her coat. Ryan motioned toward the corner, where the 4 children sat huddled together under warm blankets. The baby slept peacefully in a makeshift cradle Ryan had crafted from a basket, while the 3 older children sat close, their small hands wrapped around steaming cups of milk. Olivia approached slowly, crouching to their level with a gentle smile. Hi there, she said softly. I'm Olivia. I'm here to help. The oldest girl, who Ryan had learned was named Lily, stared at Olivia with a mixture of suspicion and fear. Her small shoulders tensed, and her eyes flicked toward the window, as if she were bracing for someone to storm in. Lily, Ryan said, his voice calm and reassuring. This is my friend. She's here to make sure you're safe. Lily hesitated, her gaze shifting between Ryan and Olivia. Finally, she gave a small nod but said nothing. Olivia studied her for a moment before turning to Ryan. What's with the symbol on their clothing? She asked, her voice low to avoid alarming the children. I don't know, Ryan admitted. But when I touched it, Lily panicked. She screamed, don't touch it, or they'll come. Olivia frowned and leaned closer to examine the small triangle stitched onto Lily's coat. Her expression darkened, and she rose to her feet, pulling Ryan aside. I've seen this symbol before, she said quietly. It was in a report about a cross-border child trafficking ring. We don't have all the details, but this might be linked to something much bigger. Ryan's stomach dropped. Trafficking? Olivia. These are just kids. Who would do something like this? Olivia's jaw tightened. People who see children as commodities, not human beings. It's sick, but it happens. We need to act fast. Ryan, if this is what I think it is, whoever abandoned them here won't give up easily. A chill ran through Ryan despite the warmth of the bakery. He glanced back at the children, who were beginning to relax slightly in the comforting atmosphere. Lily's gaze was fixed on the window again, her small hands clutching her cup as though it were a lifeline. "Can you take them somewhere safe?" Ryan asked. "I'll report this to my team and arrange for protection," Olivia replied. "But I need you to be careful. If they're watching the bakery, they'll know you're involved now." Just as Olivia finished speaking, Lily's voice cut through the room. "Mister," she said, her tone trembling. "They're coming." Ryan and Olivia turned to see her pointing toward the window. Outside, the street was still covered in snow, but a sleek black car had parked a few doors down. Two men in dark coats stepped out and began scanning the area, their movements deliberate and purposeful. "Stay here," Olivia whispered to Ryan. She moved toward the door, her hand resting on her holstered gun. The men didn't approach the bakery, but their lingering presence was enough to set Ryan's nerves on edge. He watched from the window as Olivia stepped outside, her sharp eyes locked on the strangers. She stood her ground, her posture commanding, and after a tense moment, the men retreated to their car and drove off. When Olivia returned, her expression was grim. "They're definitely watching," she said. "I'm calling in backup. We can't risk them making a move." Ryan clenched his fists, his mind racing. "What can I do in the meantime?" "Keep the kids inside and out of sight," Olivia instructed. "Lock the doors, close the curtains, and don't open the bakery tomorrow. I'll stay in touch and let you know what the next steps are." As Olivia made her calls, Ryan returned to the children. Lily's eyes were wide with fear, and she grabbed his hand as soon as he sat down. "Don't let them take us," she whispered, her voice breaking. Ryan squeezed her hand gently. "I won't, Lily. I promise. No one's going to hurt you." Though he tried to sound confident, Ryan felt the weight of the promise pressing on him. Protecting these children wasn't just about keeping them warm and fed, it was about keeping them safe from a darkness he could barely comprehend. As the day wore on, Ryan and Olivia worked to fortify the bakery. The curtains were drawn tight, the doors double-locked, and Ryan moved the children to a small upstairs room where they could rest out of sight. Despite their precautions, an uneasy tension lingered in the air. When night fell, Ryan stayed awake, listening to every creak of the building and every sound from the street outside. He knew this was just the beginning, and that keeping his promise to Lily would demand more strength and courage than he had ever imagined. Morning brought a faint light to Hartford, but the tension from the previous night still hung heavily in the air. Ryan stood at the bakery's window, his gaze fixed on the street. Snow lay untouched on the ground, save for the faint tire tracks left by the black car. He felt a growing unease, knowing that danger lurked just beyond his doorstep. The children were still upstairs, asleep in the makeshift room Ryan had prepared. Lily had stayed awake most of the night, her small hand gripping Ryan's until exhaustion finally claimed her. Now, as he watched the quiet street, Ryan's thoughts raced. He didn't know how long he could keep the children safe. The sound of the bakery doorbell startled him. Ryan turned sharply to see a man entering, his presence immediately unsettling. He was tall and sharply dressed in a tailored black suit, his dark hair slicked back. His every movement exuded confidence, but his eyes, cold and calculating, betrayed his true nature. "Good morning," the man said, his voice smooth but unnervingly icy. "You must be Ryan. My name is Nathan." Ryan forced himself to remain calm, though his heart pounded in his chest. "How can I help you?" he asked, his tone measured. Nathan's gaze wandered slowly around the bakery, taking in every detail before settling on Ryan. "I've heard good things about this place. Thought I'd stop by and see it for myself." Ryan nodded, trying to appear composed. "We're always happy to serve new customers. What can I get for you?" "Apple pie," Nathan said with a faint smirk. "I hear it's your specialty." As Ryan moved to the counter to prepare the order, Nathan's attention shifted to the corner of the room where the children's small shoes were neatly arranged. Ryan noticed his gaze and quickly stepped forward, blocking Nathan's view. "Just some kids of a customer." Ryan said casually, hoping his voice didn't betray his unease. They're waiting for their parents to pick them up. Nathan's smirk widened slightly. How kind of you to watch over them. Ryan handed over the pie, his hand steady despite the storm raging inside him. Nathan took the box but didn't leave. Instead, he stepped closer, his tone dropping to a chilling whisper. Listen carefully, Ryan. There are things in this world you don't want to interfere with. Be smart. Stay out of it. Ryan clenched his fists, forcing himself to keep his composure. I don't know what you're talking about. Nathan chuckled softly, his smirk fading into a hard, cold expression. Good. Let's hope it stays that way. With that, Nathan turned and walked out, the bell above the door ringing faintly as it closed behind him. Ryan stood frozen, his mind racing. He knew Nathan wasn't there for pie, he was there to send a message. Minutes later, Olivia arrived, her presence a welcome relief. Ryan quickly recounted the encounter, every detail spilling out in a rush. Olivia's expression grew darker with each word. Nathan's the one pulling the strings, she said grimly. He's not just a middleman, he's the head of this operation. If he knows the kids are here, he won't stop until he gets them back. Ryan's jaw tightened. What do? We fortify, Olivia said firmly. I've already arranged for extra patrols around the area. But you need someone here with you. That evening, Olivia introduced Ryan to Thomas, a retired officer who had agreed to stay at the bakery and help protect the children. Thomas was broad-shouldered and steady-eyed, his presence immediately reassuring. Don't worry, Ryan, Thomas said, his voice calm but resolute. I'll help keep them safe. Upstairs, Lily sat by the window, her small face pressed against the glass. Ryan brought her a blanket and sat beside her. Is he coming back? She asked quietly, her voice trembling. Ryan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Not while I'm here, he said firmly. You're safe, Lily. I promise. But as he looked out at the dark street, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that Nathan's threats were far from over. The next morning, Hartford woke under a pale grey sky, the snow thickening on the ground. Ryan moved through the bakery in silence, his thoughts heavy. Upstairs, the children were still asleep, but Lily stirred occasionally, her face drawn with worry even in rest. Thomas had stayed on the couch downstairs, a watchful presence through the night. Ryan's unease deepened when he noticed a black car parked across the street again. The same car. He couldn't see who was inside, but the persistent surveillance rattled him. He called Olivia immediately, his voice low but urgent. They're back, Ryan said. Same car as yesterday. They're watching the bakery. I expected this, Olivia replied, her voice firm. Stay inside. Keep the children upstairs. And don't confront them. We're moving forward with the plan. What plan? Ryan asked, gripping the phone tightly. We're raiding the warehouse Lily described, Olivia said. She gave us the best lead we've had in months. If she's right, this could be where Nathan and his ring operate and where the other children are being held. Ryan felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief that the police were acting. Dread that it might provoke Nathan. What about us? What about the bakery? I've assigned officers to watch the area, Olivia assured him. And Thomas is there for immediate protection. Just hold tight, Ryan. We're close to ending this. As the call ended, Ryan exhaled deeply, his mind racing. He trusted Olivia, but the weight of responsibility for the children still pressed heavily on him. Later that day, while Ryan busied himself with baking to calm his nerves, Lily crept downstairs. Her small feet barely made a sound on the wooden steps. Mr. Ryan, she said softly, tugging at his sleeve. He turned, crouching to her level. What is it, sweetheart? Lily hesitated, her eyes darting nervously toward the window. I heard you talking to the lady on the phone. Are they going to catch him? Ryan nodded, his voice steady. Yes. Olivia and her team are going to stop him and make sure no one gets hurt again. Lily bit her lip, her small hands clutching the edge of her blanket. What if they don't? He always comes back. Ryan's heart ached at her words. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Not this time, Lily. This time. They're ready for him. As evening fell, Ryan prepared a simple dinner for the children. He served warm bowls of soup and fresh bread, their small smiles bringing a brief moment of light to the otherwise tense day. Upstairs, the children played quietly while Thomas and Ryan discussed the next steps. You think they'll try to make a move tonight? Ryan asked, his voice low. Maybe, Thomas replied, his tone measured. But with the police moving on the warehouse, Nathan's focus might shift. He knows the walls are closing in. Night came, and the bakery grew quiet. Outside, the black car remained parked, its presence a constant reminder of the danger lingering nearby. Ryan stayed awake, listening to the faint creaks of the building and the occasional gusts of wind. Meanwhile, across town, Olivia and her team were preparing to raid the warehouse. Under the cover of darkness, they moved into position, their flashlights cutting through the cold night air. Olivia's heart pounded as she led her team toward the entrance. Team 1. Secure the front, she ordered through her radio. Team 2. Take the back. No one gets out. Inside the warehouse, Nathan and his men were preparing to flee. They had heard whispers of police activity and were packing their operation, unaware that they were moments away from capture. The raid began with a sudden crash as the police stormed the doors. Chaos erupted inside. Nathan barked orders to his men, but the officers were swift and coordinated, surrounding the warehouse and cutting off every escape route. Nathan Barnes, Olivia shouted, her voice echoing through the cavernous space. You're under arrest for child trafficking and related crimes. Drop your weapons and surrender. Nathan turned, his cold eyes narrowing. For a moment, he looked as though he might resist, but he quickly realized he was outnumbered. With a sneer, he raised his hands, dropping the weapon he had been holding. Olivia signaled her team to secure the other suspects and search the building. In one corner of the warehouse, they found a group of frightened children huddled together, their faces pale and tear-streaked. Olivia crouched beside them, her voice gentle. It's okay, she said softly. You're safe now. We're here to help. As the children were led out to waiting medical staff, Olivia felt a wave of relief. They had done it. Nathan's ring was dismantled, and the children were finally free. Back at the bakery, Ryan's phone buzzed. He answered immediately, his voice taut with anticipation. Ryan. It's over, Olivia said, her voice tired but triumphant. We got him. The children are safe. Ryan exhaled deeply, a weight lifting from his chest. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you for everything. Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes wide with hope. What happened? Mr. Ryan? Ryan smiled, his voice filled with emotion. They caught him. Lily. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Lily ran down the stairs and hugged him tightly. For the first time in days, the bakery felt peaceful again. The days that followed brought a sense of relief to Sweet Haven. Though the events of the past week left lingering shadows, the bakery had returned to its usual rhythm, the scent of fresh bread and pastries once again filling the air. But Ryan's thoughts often drifted to the children, especially Lily, whose bravery had been instrumental in dismantling Nathan's trafficking ring. One bright morning, Olivia arrived at the bakery, her presence as steadying as ever. She carried a small stack of papers and a warm smile, though her expression held a note of seriousness. Ryan, she said, sitting down at one of the tables. We've located Lily's family. Ryan froze, his hands resting on the counter. Her family? Where are they? Her aunt and uncle. Olivia explained. They live in upstate New York. We contacted them, and they've been searching for her and her siblings for months. They're eager to bring them home. Ryan's heart swelled with a mix of emotions, relief that the children would have a safe place to go, and an ache at the thought of saying goodbye. Do the kids know? He asked quietly. Not yet. Olivia replied. I wanted to talk to you first. I know how attached they've become to you. Especially Lily. Ryan nodded, his chest tightening. He had grown to care deeply for the children, and the idea of letting them go was harder than he'd anticipated. But he knew this was what was best for them. Later that afternoon, Ryan sat down with Lily in the bakery's cozy back room. The other children played nearby, their laughter a reminder of how far they'd come since that freezing morning when he found them. Lily, however, remained quiet, her watchful eyes still carrying a trace of fear. Lily. Ryan began gently. I have some news. She looked up at him, her small hands clutching the edge of her chair. What is it? Mr. Ryan? We found your family, he said, his voice soft. Your aunt and uncle. They've been looking for you and your siblings. They want to take you home. For a moment, Lily said nothing. Her expression didn't change, but her grip on the chair tightened. Do we have to go? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan knelt beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. They love you, Lily. They've been searching for you all this time. I think you'll be happy with them. But what if they're like him? She asked, her voice trembling. They're not, Ryan assured her. Olivia has spoken to them. They're good people. And they'll take care of you. Lily hesitated, then looked at him with tear-filled eyes. Will I ever see you again? Ryan's heart ached at the question. You can visit anytime, sweetheart. And if you ever need me, I'll be here. Always. The next morning, Olivia returned with the children's aunt and uncle. They were kind, warm-hearted people, their joy at seeing the children palpable. Ryan watched from a distance as the family reunited, their tearful embraces a bittersweet sight. Lily clung to Ryan one last time before leaving. I'll never forget you, Mr. Ryan, she whispered. And I'll never forget you, he replied, his voice thick with emotion. Be brave, Lily. You've got so much ahead of you. As the car carrying the children drove away, Ryan stood in the snow, his heart heavy yet hopeful. The bakery felt quiet that day, the absence of the children noticeable in every corner. But Ryan knew he had done the right thing. That evening, Olivia stopped by to check on him. She brought a small envelope, handing it to Ryan with a knowing smile. It's from Lily, she said. Inside was a handwritten note in uneven but earnest letters. Dear Mr. Ryan, I miss you already. My new family is nice. But it's not the same without you. Thank you for saving us. One day, I'll come back to visit. I promise. Love. Lily. Ryan folded the letter carefully, placing it in the drawer of his desk. The ache in his heart eased slightly as he thought of Lily's smile and the courage she had shown. He knew she was safe now, and that was all that mattered. The snow had begun to melt in Hartford, revealing patches of bare ground as the first signs of spring approached. At Sweet Haven Bakery, life returned to its usual pace. Customers filled the cozy space, the aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries creating an atmosphere of comfort. Yet for Ryan, the quiet moments in between the hustle often brought thoughts of the children. Especially Lily. One afternoon, Olivia stopped by the bakery. Her usual air of confidence softened with warmth. She carried a small folder under her arm and greeted Ryan with a wide smile. Ryan, she said, settling into a chair near the counter. I thought you'd like an update on the children. Ryan quickly poured 2 cups of coffee, placing one in front of her. How are they doing? He asked, eager for news. They're thriving, Olivia replied. Their aunt and uncle have enrolled them in school, and they're adjusting well. Lily's even started writing stories in class. Apparently, she's quite the storyteller. Ryan smiled, relief washing over him. I'm glad to hear that. She's a strong kid. Olivia nodded. then slid the folder across the table. "I thought you'd want to see this." Inside were photographs of the children, smiling, playing in their new home, and even celebrating a birthday. Ryan's heart swelled as he looked through the images, each one a testament to how far they had come. "They sent these along with a note," Olivia added, pulling out a small envelope. Ryan unfolded the paper, recognizing Lily's handwriting immediately. "Dear Mr. Ryan, I wanted to tell you that I'm happy here. My aunt and uncle are kind, and my little brother and sisters love it too. I still think about you and the bakery. I miss the smell of bread and how you always made me feel safe. One day, I'll come back to visit. Thank you for everything. Love, Lily." Ryan held the letter for a long moment, his chest tightening with both pride and longing. "She's incredible," he said softly. "She is." Olivia agreed. "And so are you, Ryan. What you did for those kids, it's something they'll never forget." Ryan looked out the bakery window, the sunlight catching on the glass. "I didn't do it alone. You and Thomas. The team, you all made this happen." Olivia smiled, but her gaze was firm. "Maybe. But it was your kindness that started it all. Never underestimate what that means." As Olivia left, Ryan found himself reflecting on her words. Sweet Haven had always been a place of warmth and comfort, but now it carried a deeper meaning. It wasn't just a bakery anymore, it was a symbol of hope. A reminder that even small acts of compassion could ripple outward in profound ways. The days turned into weeks, and the bakery grew busier as spring brought new energy to the town. Regular customers returned, filling the space with chatter and laughter, while newcomers discovered the charm of Sweet Haven. Ryan found himself sharing small bits of the story with those he trusted, each retelling a reminder of the courage and resilience he had witnessed. One day, as Ryan worked behind the counter, a familiar face appeared at the door. Thomas stepped inside, his sturdy frame casting a long shadow in the afternoon light. "Thought I'd check on you," Thomas said with a grin. "How's everything holding up?" Ryan chuckled, handing him a fresh cup of coffee. "Better. Thanks to you. Haven't seen that black car in weeks." Thomas nodded, taking a sip. "Good. That means Olivia's team is doing their job. But if you ever need anything, you know where to find me." Ryan smiled, grateful for the unwavering support. "Thanks, Thomas. I owe you one." That evening, as the bakery emptied and the town settled into its nighttime quiet, Ryan sat alone at one of the tables. He pulled out Lily's letter, reading it once more under the soft glow of the bakery lights. Her words, full of gratitude and hope, reminded him of why he had taken the risk, why he had fought so fiercely to protect those children. Looking around the bakery, Ryan felt a deep sense of peace. The warmth of the space, the memories etched into its walls, it was all a testament to what love and kindness could achieve. He thought of Lily's promise to return someday, and he knew that when she did, Sweet Haven would be ready to welcome her with open arms. This story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, kindness and courage can create profound change. Ryan's determination to protect the children and Olivia's relentless pursuit of justice proved that unity and compassion could overcome even the greatest challenges. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Ryan smiled. Sweet Haven had become more than a bakery, it had become a sanctuary. A place where hope was baked into every loaf of bread and every story shared. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Life Stories. Your support helps us continue sharing tales of courage, love, and hope. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next story.